I really like your thumbnail, Kristopher.
Yeah, I like that too.
It makes me think of The Hobbit, especially with that title. The road goes ever on and on.
Yep. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. This is the 131st episode of the Political Spotlight. Anyone hear any fireworks tonight? Could we have heard fireworks tonight?
There is a post on Facebook.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find it. Oh, here it is. Here, I can share it. This popped up right before I came on.
Good. We are already...
Yeah. Add that. So this was on the... some Kevin Orr put this up. They heard it in Spiceland. They're seeing
where's that
posts
at?
from Henry County, conveniently enough.
Yeah, amazingly.
I think you have some news about Henry County tonight, don't you?
Has anybody checked on Demetrius, or what's his name? Elvante Riddick? His middle name is, I think that's his middle name.
Yeah,
Has anybody checked on Elvante?
Yeah. It said, I'm hearing it's homemade fireworks, but I'm not convinced yet. Seeing posts from Knightstown, Cambridge City, Hillsborough, all of Newcastle, and Spiceland that they heard several loud booms down there.
Well, you know, that's some kind of one of the Wright brothers is there or something. No civic duty update. Nothing new on them. Nothing's happened. He's still in jail.
They did reduce his bond.
Who filed a motion to dismiss?
Oh, I'll be in my case. I'll get this
I haven't
off
looked
here.
at any of that.
Huh?
Hopefully he chokes on it.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay. Well, we've got a pretty busy show. And I will tell you that it does not include Mr. Kimbrell. We will look to see what we can find on the Kimbrell situation. But yeah, that is what it is. Okay, so first and foremost, thank you guys for tuning in tonight. Thank you for checking out the episode. If you're watching this live, welcome. Thank you. That's awesome. Wherever you're watching live from, thank you, thank you, thank you. But if you're watching from YouTube, I want you to do us a favor and do the thing that you do. Hit the like button as you should. That's what happens on YouTube. It doesn't cost you anything. It's no major workout session. Just take your thumb, hit the like button. I promise you'll like the content. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. You can do it for free. If you want the most out of the channel, then I would suggest that you hit the bell. That way you can be notified when we go live. And here's a pro tip. For all of you big lovers of the show, listen. If you really want to keep up to date with what's going on and you want to make sure that you don't miss anything, about every month, one night of the week when you come in, like every fourth week, every fourth Thursday of the month, you should come in, hit the like button, and then you should go over and you should hit unsubscribe. And then as soon as you unsubscribe, you should immediately subscribe again. And if you do that, you'll update the system, and that way YouTube doesn't do anything funky and it stops you from getting notifications and whatnot. I do that to the channels that I subscribe and follow, and that way I always get notified when people drop content. I'm never one of those people that like say, oh, I'm not getting content from this channel, because I'm always updating that, and it's always like, and that's just something that I've done for a long time. I think that that's what you should do to kind of refresh stuff. But the biggest ask I have of you, there's two things. Number one, if you're watching live, please comment in the live comment table chat section over to the right-hand side of YouTube. We are a very interactive show, and we like to communicate with you. If you're watching this later on repeat, we love you just the same. I ask that you comment in the comment box below. We do live in the comments, and we will get back to you. And then most importantly, above everything else, please share the show with everyone you know. And like Joe says, go on and hit the like button now. If I piss you off later in the show, which chances are I run a 50-50 chance of doing, you can always then take the like button back. You know, it's not like once you push it, it's always there. You can always change your mind later. Okay, folks, so we've got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. We're going to be bouncing around and talking about quite a bit of things, okay? First and foremost, I want to talk about last night's show for a second. And less about the show. I want to talk about you guys, the audience, okay? I want to talk about that. But I'm going to put just a brief hold on that for 1 second, because I feel like I do need to say this. First off, thank you guys for tuning in. And I don't want to blow off Ron Jones. What's up with Josh filing a motion to dismiss? Brother, I don't know, because let me tell you what the deal is. And this is just, I don't know any more about it tonight. I've talked about Josh. I'm very hard on Josh. Josh is a puke. Josh gets everything he deserves. I hope he gets 60 years in prison, not 40, but we'll have to see what goes on. This is Josh being Josh. Josh is a manipulator. Josh is a user. Josh could be a cult leader. Josh is a freak. Josh admitted to everything that he did. He admitted to his wife what he did. He admitted to his victims that he was wrong. He admitted that he was wrong. And he told them that he was not going to do this. He said, I'm going to plead guilty. I'm not going to go through all of this. And so what he did was he went into court, and when he realized, or it dawned on him that this wasn't like a DUI, which I think he's actually made that statement. I thought I was confessing to a DUI and I was going to get like 2 to 5 years. Well, when he realized that what he was doing was seriously wrong and screwed up, and that he might be looking at 40 years, I think he started changing his tune. And it's just what Josh does. He acts and then he thinks later. Josh is not an intelligent person. He thinks that he's going to beat the system in this. And I hate that I was blinded by his nonsense for a little bit. I don't think that he's going to. And Josh gets what he gets. It's disgusting. And one of these days, I promise I'll do what I can, and I'll look more into this, and we'll do a longer, bigger show on this. And I promise you guys, I'll give you the information that people are wanting. I just have done everything that I can to distance myself. I've been concerning myself more with the victims that he's left behind and less about him. As far as I'm concerned, he is what he is. I hate it. I don't know what else to say. I hate it. So that's kind of where we are with that, you know? Yeah. I mean, until we know more about what's going on. Like he's just sitting around, so that's it. All right. Janet, I will send you, I'll message you afterwards, Janet. Okay. So, back on to last night's show. First, no, I knew I was going to say one thing before that. One thing before the show, and it wasn't Josh, but then I saw his comment. And I didn't want to leave him hanging. If you're new here, welcome. Thank you. The agenda that we're going to talk about tonight, so you guys know. I want to let you guys know, and I somehow got away from this. Oh, it was last night. But I want to let you guys know what the agenda is and what we're talking about. So basically, the description I wrote up for this is, Happy Wednesday, everyone. We're at the midpoint of the week. We've done so much already this week, but we still have so much more to do. Tonight's show and tomorrow night's show are both going to be big ones, so let's roll. I tell you, honestly, it feels like it never ends. It's always something, and a lot of the time, it's many things all at once. During this show, the 131st episode, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts on last night's show and the debate that I had with a guest on the simulcast during last night's show, the episode 130. And I'm going to talk about you guys, the viewers, for a brief second. Then we're going to cover my quick segment on 93.1 WIBC's Kendall and Casey that I did this morning. We were there talking about it was a phone-in interview, but we were with them talking about the Indiana General Assembly and all the craziness that they're doing that we've been focusing on. From there, we're going to dive into the almost always disappointing Delaware County, Indiana government and their inability to make good decisions. And I'm going to give you a couple of examples, along with their apparent inability to use spell check. How embarrassing. And then for the big news of the show and the majority of the show, we're going to be focusing on none other than, drumroll please, it's been a couple of days. I know. So you almost knew that we would have to be talking about Henry County, Indiana, and their Sheriff John M. Sproles. And it's a pretty serious new federal lawsuit. We dare them, I dare them to call this frivolous. So, that's where we're going. So, first and foremost, I want to talk first about last night's show. Give you the thoughts on last night's show. And tell you that today was so busy I didn't get a haircut, and I'll blame it on John Sproles. That's the fault. It was Sproles' fault. Last night, folks, we did the mouthwash podcast, and I know that it wasn't everybody's cup of tea. Listen, I like doing new things. I like doing things that we haven't done before. I know everybody was like, oh, we like getting you guys back here and and I want to say thank you guys. You guys are badass. You guys are amazing. The viewers that we have are absolutely amazing. I love you guys. I'll tell you, I never heard anything. I heard more grumbling about last night's show from none other than my own grandparents. They hated it. They were like, we turned you off and went to bed. We couldn't deal with it. They were like, if you do that crap again, we're not watching anymore. No, listen, I enjoyed it. I like the mouthwash guys and girls. And listen, people got to do different things. We do different things. All right. There's different people in the world. Alva thought last night's show was fun and entertaining. Some people listen, we joke around here a lot. We do a lot of stupid stuff. I consider this a very professional thing. I consider it the most professional, unprofessional setup I've ever been in. Okay. That's just the thing. That's just the thing. I suggest a viewer boycott until Ryan is the guest host. What?
Okay. He lost my vote.
all the way from Randolph County. That's hilarious. Nicole did not like it. And listen, and I know why. Because here's the thing. John is very ADD, and he admits that. And he's got to keep himself on track. And if he doesn't keep himself on track, it just goes crazy. And the other thing is they try to be respectful of their guests. So they tried to only keep it to about an hour and 10 minutes. I don't care to keep people here until 2:00 in the morning. Like, look, we can talk until Thursday of next week if you want. All right. Like, I don't care. He tries to be respectful. And so they have segments set up and they do all of this. Now, to you guys that I've trained on this show format, we just roll. I might go in this direction and have a show printed out. And then in the middle of it, somebody says something and go, bam, we go into a whole nother topic. And I never talk about what I was going to talk about. We do that kind of stuff all the time. They don't do that. To each their own. I respect what they do. They also are more respectful and bounce ideas back and forth. I don't do that. I'm more about, here's my idea. We're kind of more the dictator here. This is our show. This is what we think. This is what we believe. You can like it or not like it. I ask you to do your own research. I hope you like what we say, and I hope that you take it. I find if you take our information here that we give you, and you do your own work, and you apply common sense, you will find that we're almost always right. If we're wrong, I will tell you that we're wrong. So I wanted to tell you guys, thank you. We came back here, and we did not watch the sometimes I get off track. Only sometimes. Wait, what are you talking about, Nicole? You're right there, Doug Brewer. What do you mean, Nicole? No, not this show. I don't know what you mean.
I think she means getting off track.
Oh, yeah,
being
right.
Sarcastic.
I get it. Yeah.
I will tell you, you guys were amazing last night. It was so much fun being on this side of it and watching it with all of you and not over in their show, because the comments over here were amazing. And the boys and I had so much fun after we got off.
Oh, yeah.
And, went off the live and going through all of the comments from last night's.
I wish
during the mouthwash portion. You guys were absolutely incredible.
Yeah. The audience is amazing. When we came back, because Kate captured all of your comments that we didn't get to see because we were over there. And then when we came back, I said we were going to go through them. I'm kind of glad we didn't, because we had their crew on. But afterwards, I got to say, I love all the kind words you guys had to say. And it was like, you guys were right in my mind. Because look, I'm thankful for everybody that was on the screen. And I made up with the Tiffany that was in the bottom left-hand corner. She's a newly elected city council person. So I think she feels like she's drinking from a fire hose. But I was like, wait a minute, you're the Republican? Like, everything that you were saying was so not conservative to me. It was like, oh, we need to protect the elected officials. And I was like, no. No one made you run, man. Nobody made you run. Like, if you don't the other thing is, if someone is accosting you and doing these things, pick up the phone and call the police. There's already laws in place. Don't violate my rights because of that. And so I got to say, honestly, I would love to have more debates in the future. And I would like to go on other shows where I've got to argue my thoughts. That's the thing that I hate about the candidates that run. And I've heard both Democrats and Republicans do it. They're like, no, we don't want to go to those people's event because it's put on by the other side. And I'm like, yeah, that's who you need to go argue your point in front. If you're a Republican and you're like, I'm not going to go to that Democrat event because they're all Democrats. Well, I'm sorry, but if you can't go and hold your own in a room full of Democrat voters, then I don't want you to be an elected official, because how do I think that you're going to hold your own when it comes to when the shit hits the fan? You know what I mean? So I've got a big problem with that. So I don't, I like that we come on here and we do our thing, but I don't mind going into the lion's den and being, thrown up against it, because I can hold my own against that crap. And I feel like I can hold, at the end of the night, nobody's going to out-talk me. You know what I mean? Maybe Catherine, her incident that she was so fearful about at the library wasn't what she portrayed it. That's why nothing was done. She was accosted with words during a meeting. Yeah, like, dude, if someone's going to your house, if they're threatening you, take care of the problem. Call 911 or do what you got to do. But I don't go to Democrat events because most of them are shit crazy. No, Ryan Webb, but I don't think that you would have a problem going to a debate or a candidate interview. I don't think that you shy away from events that like that. I think that you would go to something like that. You know what I mean? So that's my thoughts on last night's show. And I want to say thank you guys to the audience. Brandon loved your comments. Kate loved your comments. And you guys are the freaking awesome best, and I appreciate the kind words that you guys were giving us last night. All right. From there, I now want to take you guys on to the political spotlight on 93.1 WIBC's Kendall and Casey. We were on this morning at about 10:05 after 10 this morning. It was a quick minute. We're going to listen to it right now, so you don't have to worry about it.
You're breaking up a bit.
I am?
Yep.
Check. How are we doing with audio, everybody? Put a 1 if I'm doing okay. It might just be Kate's house. Give me a 1 if we're doing good. Audio-wise. All right. Joe Tompkins is saying a 1. Joe Black is saying a robot character. Stumblefoot News is saying a 1. I listened to that. It was a great segment with you in it. Thank you. Ooh, Jeff Walls is saying, no, we are breaking up a bit. Are we still breaking up or are we doing good, Kate? Okay, we're doing good. Definitely was breaking up, but it's good now. All right, let's rock and roll. Here we go. So we're going to get through this segment here because we're going to have to get through here. Kate and her J. That's probably true. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go with the Kendall and Casey segment. Okay. Oops, what did I do there?
Oh, no more fun of it. Politics and government, and that means you out there in listener land. 93 WIBC. It is the Kendall and Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's here. Casey, did you see what our old overachievers down the street from us at the General Assembly are up to now?
I did see that. They apparently are not a fan of artificial intelligence.
So you've got the totally out of control property taxes.
I don't think
you got gas taxes that are crippling.
I don't think the Indiana State General Assembly is a fan of any kind of intelligence, to be honest with you. And I wish I would have said that this morning, but it skipped my brain.
People, you got $1 billion screw up with Medicaid.
Mm-hmm.
You got the LEAP thing that's a total disaster.
You got third graders who can't read.
Yeah, people are just up in arms over all sorts of things.
Multiple gas taxes.
Are they fixing any of that stuff? No. The big time winners down there at 200 West Washington Street, they're focusing on making sure you can't meme them with artificial intelligence.
That's right. You'd be in big trouble because you've done this, Rob Kendall.
Yes, this is crazy because remember last year when we did my wife actually did and we presented them at a night with WIBC and they were a huge hit where she took, and I have no idea how the AI stuff works, but she's a computer whiz. And so she took people we've given nicknames to on this program, whether it's Duke of Spendingburg, Rod and Todd, the Flanders Boys, High Tax Holcomb, and she created clearly funny, made in humor artificial intelligence based on the descriptions that we give them on this show.
Yeah, and she took all those keywords, plugged it into AI, and it popped out a meme or a picture of them.
Well, now, Casey, the lords and lordesses at the Indiana General Assembly have said, we can't have anyone having any fun at our expense in the House of Representatives on a unanimous vote. So now it is bipartisan in terms of the complete lack of fun and frivolity that you're allowed to have as a human being. Passed a bill Thursday, which they describe as aiming to add protections for political-based ads and communications. WLFI has the full story. And it defines fabricated media as pieces that were inaccurately altered without the consent of the candidate or that were created using artificial intelligence.
Yep.
So that means, I guess, the little fun we had where we created the artificial intelligence of Spendingberg and High Tax Holcomb, we may now have committed, if this passes the Senate, a felonious act of some sort.
It's a good thing you did that before House Bill 1133 was passed. But I'm not sure if this counts because well, your wife made the pictures, right?
Yeah.
But you weren't using them as attack ads against opponent.
But I was about to.
Oh, were you?
Well, I was.
don't know. We got to figure it out.
Yeah, let's go to the WIBC hotline. Our old friend Chris Bilbrey, he has a very fabulous podcast. You can find it on YouTube. It's called The Political Spotlight. He joins us now. Okay, Bilbrey, you're a memer. You're an artificial intelligence guy. It's, well, they just don't like us, and the General Assembly's taking it out on anyone who has any fun at their expense. What say you?
Oh yeah, this is really gross. This just continues in the General Assembly's session this year, where they're doing what they can to protect themselves and insulate them from the regular humans out here in Indiana, and it's just absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, so as we were talking about, this thing is, and they do this all the time at the General Assembly, where they write these things, Casey, where they're so vague that you have no idea what is crime, what is good humor, and it basically, Bilbrey, and you can speak to this, they make it so that if they don't like you, they can come at you. If they do like you, they can go, ha, 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 look at that person, that's funny.
Yeah, and that is absolutely true. The other issue here, and the biggest issue, you mentioned this, is it's not talking about AI across the board, because let's face it, I'm kind of scared of this whole AI thing and where we might be going. But this bill, 1133, there's also a bill in the Senate Bill 7, and they almost mirror each other. They are not talking about Hoosiers across the board. They specifically say candidates. Then there's an amendment in the bill that says it also relates to any political figure once elected. It's basically all year round. You cannot do this to a public official. And if you do it and they take you to court, it gets special treatment in the court. But that's not all. They have put this in as an emergency because they want this to be in effect before the election season this year.
Right.
Okay, so real quick, I know Casey wants to hop in here, but that's important because normally, Casey, when a bill's passed, July 1st is the start date. Like, they don't start it right away. They give implementation time, government agencies. You're saying, Bilbrey, that they said, no, upon passing, so undesirables in the primary can't have any fun at our expense.
Absolutely.
All right, Chris Bilbrey from Political Spotlight is joining us. So this bill says that it includes audio, images, video, texts, and mailers. And this is the question in which a reasonable person could not recognize that it was AI generated. Who is to determine what a reasonable person can and cannot recognize? They're actually making a law that says you must have common sense.
Yeah. Well, I generally would like that, and I agree that we need to have common sense, and I would like if our elected officials, specifically at the State House, would have common sense. The problem is, I don't trust any of them to really know what a reasonable human is, because I've not found any reasonable humans out of the nearly 100, 150 of the State House and state Senate officials.
Chris Bilbrey, our guest. Political Spotlight is his podcast. You can find him on YouTube. We're talking about this House Bill 1133, which basically says if you have any fun at a politician's expense using artificial intelligence, they can now throw the book at you, and you'll end up potentially like Ernest T. Bass and spend the weekend in the county lockup. Okay, so this passed the House unanimously. It goes to the Senate. You think the Senate's going to take this up? I mean, are we facing the fact that by March I could be in big trouble here, Bilbrey?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think that's going to happen. I really see nobody fighting this, and it's going to be a lot quicker than March, honestly, is what my fear is. And, people need to understand, think about all of the mailers that go out where they kind of put people next to each other. And, anyone that, like, I create thumbnails for all of our videos. We put out videos 5 nights a week, and each night I put up these thumbnails. Now, I'm not putting anyone in, I'm not doing anything vulgar or doing anything crazy. I imagine there probably people are, and there are laws already in place to stop people from, doing wildly slanderous things. But, this is just really scary because, like I said, who gets to decide what too far is? I guarantee you there are elected officials that don't like some of the things that I've already done. And now what we have to do is we have to put, in order to be in compliance with the law, some kind of disclaimer on these things that says, hey, this is political satire. Apparently, if you're not intelligent enough to know, this is satire. I promise you, if they make me put a disclaimer on my material, they're not going to like the disclaimer I put on.
You must disclose this is a joke. So, Chris, Representative Julie Olthoff of Crown Point said that the downside with the AI is that people can't decipher what is real and what is fabricated. So this sounds like they're trying to curtail deep fakes, but in reality, it's almost a way of regulating what goes on the internet and everywhere else, and also regulate free speech.
Yep, absolutely. And they're doing a lot of that at the State House this year. It's not just with this bill. There are several others that they're trying to regulate free speech. And it is a concern, specifically regulate free speech when it applies to them as elected officials or candidates. And that's my problem.
Yeah. So real quick, let's touch on that before I let you go. Chris Bilbrey from the Political Spotlight is our guest. Originally, we were going to have him on to talk about this, but then this artificial intelligence thing popped up. So you're as Hammer would describe it, your euchre buddy, your longtime arch nemesis, J.D. Prescott. He's a state representative. He's actually your state representative up there in Delaware County is he's at it again. I think they've run this through the House, haven't they, Bilbrey? It's already passed this bill on decorum at public meetings. Tell us what's going on with that.
Well, it's House Bill 1338, and again, they're attempting to insulate themselves from the regular citizens. They are, I guess, in a way, trying to make themselves a special class by, again, saying, you can't say these things. You can't redress your government. I heard you say long ago, Rob, when you were elected, you would let the people come up and say whatever they wanted to say to you in their time limit, the 1 or 2 times a month. And I've always respected that about you. But these elected officials across the board, now this is not just state government, this is local officials as well. They are afraid of being redressed by the 10 or 15 people that show up a month. And they are now crying, and they want to be able to put new laws in place we already have laws in place. If you cross the line and break the law, the police can already handle that. Now we want to make untrained elected officials like the feelings police. And if their feelings are hurt in meetings, they now get to possibly trespass you and make you quite possibly a felon or at least charge you with a misdemeanor because you are redressing your government in a way that they don't like.
You know, that's why I like Bilbrey, because he understands all that I gave to the people, Casey, when I was an elected official.
Yes.
But he's right. I mean,
Yeah.
Chris, you're right. People said horrific, awful things about me, and I would just sit there because there's nothing more. The best get back is for someone to be physically shaking in anger at a podium, and you just sit there and smile at them. And they can't do it, Chris. They can't do it. They can't handle it.
No, that is very true. It's a weaker mind and a weaker constitution of people, I think, in the last several years, and it's just getting worse.
All right, Chris Bilbrey, the Political Spotlight. You can find him on YouTube. We appreciate you, man. Keep us up to date on this. We'll have you back soon when the ACLU sues these guys, because this thing is going to 100% head to court.
All right.
Thanks, Chris. You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 90.
All right there, ladies and gentlemen, that was the piece. I tell you, like I said, we like to do enough good work around here that we end up on the Kendall and Casey Show or other programs on 93.1 at least every couple of months to kind of shake our enemies up and let them know that we've got a bigger reach than what they could ever think. And I tell you, it's always funny to me, the people that either do one or two things. They come on and they'll tell me, what just absolute joke, what a joke 93.1 WIBC is, or the people who will call and say such great things. I actually had a phone call today, and I'm not going to say who because this person's no longer in public life, but I'm going to say something. I had a phone call today from an individual after this piece aired, an elected official in a community that I used to go after relentlessly. Why I dogged this person left and right, used to do an impression of their voice and everything. And this person called and said, hey, I just wanted to congratulate you on your piece today on 93.1. They had lovely things to say. We shared, pleasantries and talked to each other for about 10 or 15 minutes. I said, hope you and the family's doing well. They said yes. And we talked back and forth and ended with don't be a stranger and have a great life. And it's just interesting to me that once people are out of the limelight and I no longer have a reason to dog them, that they then come around and they're like, well, maybe this guy's not so bad. And I'll tell you, I too have the feeling of, okay, maybe this guy's not so bad. So we tended to meet back on the other side. And that is what I think there are some people, some maybe old acquaintances of ours that didn't realize that you don't have to hate the people necessarily. You might not like what they do. You might not respect what they do. And you might even hate the actions they take. But on the other side, at the end of this, we're all people and we need to figure out a way to be able to communicate and work through this. So there you go, telling everyone about Ryan, you're still an elected official, bro. I don't know what you're saying. That's hilarious. Okay, now from there, ladies and gentlemen, we move on to talking about the Delaware County, Indiana government. And boy, do we have some craziness going on in Delaware County. For those of you that are here to hear the Henry County news, we're going to speed through this and we're going to get to Sproles. Sproles is going to be, Henry County is going to be the biggest part of the show. I've just got to get through this because there's so much going on. I would have to be live like 5 hours a day or have all these various other different shows to be able to get through everything. So Delaware County, I just want to briefly say this, and I've heard this, and this is sickening, and I hate this, and this is horrible. It has been confirmed in Delaware County that the meeting between the commissioner and the council officials are going to take place behind closed doors, in the dark, and without public scrutiny. The Delaware County, Indiana officials who, after the last couple of weeks, have essentially admitted that at least 3 of our elected officials, 3 of the most powerful elected officials in Delaware County government, entered the citizens and the county into an agreement with a mega $1 million company who's now threatening to sue us and all this other craziness, that they entered us into this agreement that was a piss poor deal, that was a horrible situation, and that is absolutely not a situation that is good for the citizens of Delaware County. It is not good. In my opinion, it's not good for the elected officials. It's not good for the council. If there's something that benefits James King, or if there's something that benefits Shannon Henry, or if there's something that benefits Sherry Riggin, I sure wish they would come forward and let us know what that is, because I'll be honest, I don't see anything that benefits any other elected official. And if there is something that benefits one of the 3 commissioners, or all of the 3 commissioners, or any 2 of the 3 commissioners, I would almost be concerned about what that would be, because honestly, I don't see anything that would be good or would be out in the open and okay. To me, everything that I think that could be beneficial to them would be something that would fall in the line of corruption. Now, I don't mean they're doing anything illegal. Alva says if it's happening behind closed doors so that one group of elected officials can protect the other group of elected officials from us, the public. That's exactly true, Alva. And again, I want to show you, and listen, my mother, God love her, she took the time to go through all of the Delaware County meetings in 2021 to find a 35-second clip. She suffered having to hear James King stumble his way through reading, and had to suffer her way through Sherry Riggin falling asleep, and Henry being the second stooge, and John Joke, what was it? Brooke. Oh yeah, John Brooke pulling the strings to find a 35-second clip. Now, because I wanted to highlight some of the insanity on that clip, I doubled it, and I actually made it about 52 seconds, but I'm going to let you hear that right now. I want you to hear this. It's absolutely disgusting. And here we go. Right now, this is a short that you can find on our site. And I'm going to put this up here right now. Well, let me refresh. That's not it. What the heck are we looking at there? That's not it.
It's reminding you that you need to clean your glasses, Kristopher.
Yes, it is, isn't it? Oh my God, I need to clean my glasses. Hold on. What was that weirdness? Here we go.
Next, we have Meadow Forge Solar Project Economic Development Agreement. John, you looked this over.
I have.
John,
I've worked with Joe and I've worked with Brad Book out on this. We've been negotiating with the developer on this particular contract. It was a good negotiation. I think it's a fair agreement for both sides.
John, you looked this over.
I have. I've worked with Joe and I've worked with Brad Book out on this. We've been negotiating with the developer on this particular contract. It was a good negotiation. I think it's a fair agreement for both sides. It was a good negotiation. I think it's a fair agreement for both sides.
I make a motion we approve the agreement.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Steve, can you call the roll, please?
Mr. Henry,
Yes.
Ms. Reagan,
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes. Next, we have Meadow Forge.
There you
Solar
go,
Project
ladies and gentlemen.
Economic Development Agreement.
One more time.
John, you looked this over.
I have.
John,
I've
you
worked
looked
with
this
Joe
over?
and I've worked with Brad Book out on this. We've been negotiating with the developer on this particular contract. It was a good negotiation. I think it's a fair agreement for both sides.
I think it was a good negotiation and it's a fair agreement for both sides. Does he forget the part where he said, we will give you a tax abatement, and if we don't, well, then we're going to let you off the hook of $5.6 million and we'll cover it for you. It is not fair, and it was not a good negotiation. Now, John Brooke there, who is, you've all heard of the fifth Beatle. He's the fourth commissioner. We have three commissioners. He's the fourth. Really, he's the first and only last, and the others are just honorary figureheads. He's the one that's leading this, and he does everything in government, basically. My question in that 35-second clip is, where are the questions about this? It appears as if the commissioners don't know anything, and they're just taking the word of an unelected, appointed figurehead. Listen, James King, brother, you are the one that's elected to this job. We want to know what you think of that agreement. Sherry Riggin, did you forget you work for the people? Shannon Henry, you were elected by the citizens. You all should be able to recite that 33-page document inside and out and backside and upside down, frontwards. You should be able to speak it in Spanish, German, and Italian. And you all should have known that when you got to section 11 on page 6, that there was something that was not fair and was not good for the citizens, the taxpayers, and everybody else that resides, works, lives, or plays in Delaware County. This was an ignorant agreement, and all three commissioners should resign. And if they don't, we need to kick their ass out of office. And thank God we have the opportunity to remove at least two of them this year. Now, I don't know if anybody's going to run against Sherry Riggin or not, so maybe that's off. But we do have one candidate running against King, and this candidate has a good shot. We're going to talk about him here in a minute. But I just want to say, folks, this is very maddening. And hearing that right there, that's really sad. A lot of people are saying, wait a minute, who's Joe? John Brooks says, I work with the people from Meadow Forge and Joe. Well, Joe, ladies and gentlemen, unless there's some other Joe out there that I don't know, Joe, I don't know, I believe that he's referring to Joe Retz. Joe Retz, ladies and gentlemen, is another one of the county attorneys. Joe Retz is an attorney that works in John Brooks' office, and he deals with a lot of the contracts. So I believe in that short there that comes from a meeting, and if you guys want to go back and watch it, you can watch that short from our political spotlight website. And if you click on the description, I actually give you the link so you can go in and watch the full video. But if you don't trust my link, you can go in and you can type in Delaware County Government on YouTube, and you can search back to the meeting that was Monday, November 1st, 2021, and you can listen to the full meeting. It's only 35 seconds that they discuss that out of the whole meeting. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. And now we're screwed 3 years later. Here's the thing. Joe Rett, I believe, is the attorney, so that answers that question, people. As far as why anybody thought that this was fair is insane, and if Steve Brand does not use this to walk into victory with King, over King, then I think that would be a tragedy. This is a disgusting display of piss-poor government, and the fact that they've done this to us under the cloth of darkness and behind closed doors, and that this has come out, and the outrage that people have had on this, and the fact that they're talking about doing this once again in another closed door meeting, ladies and gentlemen, it is reprehensible. And let me tell you why they're wanting to do that. Because it's not just King. It's not just Henry. It's not just Sherry. It's Jessica Piper, ladies and gentlemen. Piper, the president of the council, she is scared to death. She's a little frightened girl, and so are a lot of the other counselors. They don't want to deal with this ahead of the election. They are afraid of rocking the boat. Now, let me tell you the most disgusting thing that I've heard. I've heard that the council has been trying to work with Brooke and work with the commissioners to set up a meeting, and that John Brooke just absolutely would not return the phone call of Ben Freeman, the attorney, that they just would not communicate, that they could not get their schedules together, and that they wouldn't. And I've heard that calls have been made to Ryan Webb, like him or hate him, love him or don't agree with him. I tell you, I think that he's the only counselor right now that is caring about the transparency of this, and he would do the best to get this information out into the public light. We, the citizens, have demanded, do not do this in a closed-door executive meeting. Somebody said, don't all of these meetings need to be live streamed? The answer is all meetings with a quorum have to be live streamed. However, there are certain meetings that they can hold that are executive meetings where the entire council, the entire commissioners can meet in an executive meeting. This, in my opinion, would not necessarily qualify for an executive meeting. So the way they can get around that is by doing this. They can take 1 or 2 or 3 council members and the attorney, and they can go meet with 1 commissioner and the attorney. As long as there's not 2 commissioners and 4 council people, then they can meet without our knowledge behind closed doors all day long if they want. As long as it is not 5 council members or 2 commissioners, that's a problem. That's when it becomes an open door violation. But as far as a couple council members and 1 of the commissioners getting together, that's all that matters. But I'll tell you how it'll be. It'll be the 2 commissioners because they don't care. They don't care about open door policies. They do what they want to do. It'll be King and Henry, and it'll be 1 or 2 or 3 council members, and it will be the 2 attorneys. But the only one that'll be talking will be John Brooke. John Brooke will be pulling the strings, and it'll be that way. And King will be pumping his chest, and he'll be showing his ass, and he'll be displaying disappointment in the fact that Ryan Webb would dare question me and that Bill Hughes would question us on video. He's not going to like that, and he's going to be beating his chest. Now, let me tell you, they, in my opinion, I've heard from several people that they have reached out to Webb and asked, and I don't know if Webb is still here or not, but they asked Webb what time he would prefer. Webb, like a lot of the 6 out of the 7 council members are working adults. So most of them would have to do this after hours. Well, Webb drives short distance driving in trucks. And so sometimes it takes him a while to be back. And to my knowledge, he's told them, hey, the meeting needs to be after 5 or 6 o'clock. And guess when they decided to have this a meeting? So far, unless we pitch a bitch about this, members of the council will be meeting with at least a member or 2 of the commissioners and the attorneys on Monday, this coming Monday, the 5th, at 3:30 p.m. No, hell, 9 a.m. People could do that and then go in late. No, they're going to do it at a really weird time when nobody can just get off in the middle of the day. 3:30 p.m. for an executive behind the door, closed door bullshit meeting. Maybe it's not a behind the door, it's an up the ass meeting. That's what the deal is. I'm telling you, we're sick of this, and citizens need to be demanding better. And maybe they're not going to give us any better. Maybe they're just going to keep screwing us all the way. And if they do, folks, then we must line up and vote for Brand. Every person in Delaware County can vote for Brand. He's running in District 1, but the entire county votes for him. Meetings between the council and the commissioners on this should not be in the dark. And I want to tell you, there are several ways they could do this. They could call a joint work session between the commissioners and the council. Henry County does it all the time. They have these 2 or 3 times. They do these 2 or 3 times a month. They could do it. They could sit right there. They could let us watch it. They don't have to. It's a special meeting, so they don't particularly have to have public comment, but I think they should. Whatever. You know, I'm just constitutional, you know. I think they work for us, not the other way around. I think they should listen to what we have to say. I think they should hear the disappointment. But Jessica doesn't want to hear that. King doesn't want to hear that. Shannon doesn't want to hear that. John Brooke doesn't want to hear that. Who cares what John Brooke wants? Go sit in the corner like the child you are. You should be seen and not heard. You're not elected. If you want to be an elected official, John Brooke, put your name on the ballot again, dude. Okay? I'm pissed off about this. So this is horrible. Was the decision by the commissioners within their purview? Charlize, I don't think so. Let me tell you who else does not think so. Ryan Webb does not think so. He's a counselor. Bill Hughes does not think so. Maybe we say, okay, throw Webb away. Bill Hughes, though, man. Bill Hughes, a longtime attorney, okay, a longtime attorney who was a county commissioner, a county council, county attorney, does not believe that they have the right to do what they're doing. And I very much agree with him. He's concerned. He brought that up. We heard him say that in the meeting. In the meeting, we heard that. Now, I'm hearing that people are saying this meeting will be all of the council members, unless Ryan can, or without Ryan, unless he can get there, and all of the commissioners. Now, I don't know if that's legal or not. I mean, I think it's a walk in a tightrope. Maybe because of the threat of the lawsuits there, they're going to cover it that way. But at the end of the day, they can choose to do this in the public view. And they choose not to because they are afraid. They are scared. Jessica's afraid that, oh, this might make me lose. We need to send her packing because of this alone. This, in my opinion, comes down to one person's choice. It's not John Brooks' choice. It's not King's choice. They might be the executors, the executive government, but this is a council decision. And this is Council President Jessica Piper's decision. And this shows you how weak she is, ladies and gentlemen. She should not be the president. She cannot make decisions that are best for the council. It's disgusting. Okay, so that's that. Then they are having a meeting. Another council's having a special meeting on February 16th at 4 p.m. They're calling it an emergency meeting, but they're not scheduling it for 3 more weeks. But the crazy thing is they have their regular meeting 4 days later on a Tuesday. So it's like, why not just wait till that Tuesday meeting? They're doing all kinds of crazy things right now, folks. And the citizens need to say, no more, we're not happy with this. This is bullshit. All right? I'm just not happy with this. Okay, on from that. I now want to take you to this situation that has popped up. This is from the Star Press. This was an article in the newspaper yesterday, and I want to focus on this. This is crazy. All right, this is a situation between Brand, which is Stephen Brand running for commissioner, and this is between James King. Okay, the election has kicked off, folks. It's getting crazy out here. And so this is really crazy. All right. Brand launches GOP campaign for commissioner, comments on the seizure of firearms. Now, we've all talked about the ATF, the seizure at his house, the fact that he's got back 75% of his firearms. We've talked about the fact that they've not charged him with anything. We've talked about all of that. Okay. I want to blow this up so you guys can see this, and then I'm going to read through this. And there's one specific thing that I want you guys to know about. Okay, so it says Stephen Brand had an enthusiastic launch to his Republican campaign for county commissioner Thursday night, as about 200 supporters showed at the clubhouse downtown to boost his candidacy. Brand, chairman of the board of Greater Muncie Chamber of Commerce and president of the Muncie Sanitary District Board for the first time in nearly a year, spoke publicly about what he called the elephant in the room. The day will come when I can tell my story, he told the crowd about February 22nd, 2023, when agents from the U.S. Bureau of ATF, Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives appeared at his home with a search warrant. Investigators questioned Brand for about 11 hours and seized 650 firearms. Brand said he has not been accused of doing anything illegal by the federal government. He told the Star Press that his firearms were a family gun collection started by his father. It also includes firearms owned by his children and guns from various countries. The federal government has returned about 75% of his collection, and he told us that he told the Star Press. According to a motion filed by federal prosecutor on August 15th, a search warrant leading to the February raid suggested that there was a probable cause to believe that the guns seized were connected to violations of federal law concerning dealing in firearms without a license. Brand denies that. Brand has not been charged with any crime in connection with his firearm seized. Here we see Steve Brand, and the person who introduced him was Delaware County Sheriff Tony Skinner. Tony Skinner is a law enforcement stand-up guy. He's not going to be in bed with a criminal. I'm just telling you that right now. If he did not trust and believe in Brand's innocence and believe that Brand was above board, he would not be there. I'm just telling you how it is, folks. Zachary Myers, the U.S. attorney for the Indiana Southern Judicial District, had asked the federal court for 3 different extensions to determine what action to take regarding the case. It meant he would come up to a deadline and he wouldn't have charged him, so he'd ask for an extension. He would get it. Then the extension would run out. Then he'd ask for another. Then he asked for another. His most recent was a 30-day extension that expired Saturday, and he did not ask for an additional extension. Ladies and gentlemen, I strongly believe that it is over. Having been involved in this world before and paying attention to this and knowing about this stuff, I believe it's over. Brand said he believed that meant that it was an end to the civil action a federal government might have to pursue in order to confiscate and for forfeiture of his firearms. He is hoping to have all the firearms returned. He said he can't yet speak about what was discussed with the ATF agents at the raid, and he could not say why the raid was conducted. The Star Press reached out to the U.S. Attorney's Office about the status of the matter involving Brand. However, the Communications and Community Relations Officer, Kelsey Clayton, responded by saying what they always say. As a matter of policy, the U.S. Attorney's Office neither confirms nor denies the existence of investigation, and we do not speculate on outcomes. Moving on, Brand described himself as a constitutional conservative. He says he was in Washington, D.C. on January 6, 2021, when demonstrators supporting then-President Donald Trump attacked the U.S. Capitol, but he was not among them. A lot of people do that. I mean, you know, I almost was there. I thought about traveling there. Had I traveled there, I would not have went inside the Capitol building, and I would not have done anything illegal. But it's history, folks. Whatever way you come on down on this, it's history. And watching this is not a crime. Brand said he watched part of the Trump rally that day, and he walked toward the Capitol after he saw tear gas fired into the crowd. Brand said he did not enter the Capitol that day, but he does believe that the federal government probably knew he was in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. I'm sure they do. He said he knows of no link between being in D.C. on the 6th and the seizure of the gun connection. I don't know if that's true or not, but he didn't do anything illegal on the 6th, and he's not been accused of anything illegal so far. All right? Innocent until proven guilty, and he's not even been charged. Plus, he's given back nearly 480 of his guns out of 650. You know, if he was guilty, they wouldn't have given him one bullet back, let alone 75% of 650 guns. Think about this, okay? Brand told his supporters that he had been the subject of rumors since the ATF raid. Of course, it's ruined his life, in my opinion. He's had to rebuild. But elected Republicans and their staff appeared to be happy to embrace him, both Brand and his candidacy. The MC for the event was Delaware County Sheriff Tony Skinner. Delaware County Council members Matt Kantz and Ryan Webb also attended. Incumbent Delaware County Commissioner James King occupies the commissioner's seat Brand is seeking. This week, Thomas Malappet, an attorney representing Brand, sent a cease and desist letter to James King for comments the letter claims King made publicly about Brand. King, a Republican and chief of police in Daleville, said he plans to file for the GOP primary for re-election. King responded by saying he did not say the things cited in the letter, which dealt with accusations of criminal behavior. The letter said this: Mr. Brand has not been accused of anything, let alone charged or indicted as a result of the raid on his home on February 22nd, 2023. And you know that, the letter from Malappet read. As such, this is slander, and Mr. Brand is entitled to not only damages, but punitive damages for your actual malice. Listen to this. Commissioner's attorney John Brooke responded on King's behalf with a letter to Malappet noting King's denial and asking for documents on verification of his allegations, as well as noting King's right to free speech. Mr. Brand has decided to run for commissioner, a public office. And while I am sure he's aware of his life in the public eye, I'm sure he is aware his life is now in the public eye, Brooks responded. While Mr. King does know his rights as a commissioner, as a citizen, and as a law enforcement officer, he will not be bullied into censorship by you or your client. Brand told the Star Press he was sensitive to the issue of free speech since he's a constitutional conservative. He had not read the letter that Malappet sent to King, but he said he did grant his attorney permission to send it. The GOP race appears to be engaged. Brand said he is not running in opposition of King. Instead, he is running for the future of his children and other families. He told supporters he wants to modernize economic development in the county and see the growing county and he sees a growing county that cooperates more with Muncie toward that end. Brand just retired this month from a senior management position at Magna after 19 years. The Delaware County native is a Cowan High School graduate. He learned skills in the trades and vocational school and was part of a partnership that started a local tool and die shop in the county. After that, he began work at New Venture Gear in Muncie. New Venture Gear was a joint venture between General Motors and Chrysler. There he rose from being a temporary employee to plant superintendent, and he accomplished all of that without a college degree. Now, why am I talking about this? Well, I'm talking about this because I want to know who in the hell is paying for the commissioner's attorney to respond on King's behalf. Ladies and gentlemen, King is not yet a candidate running for re-election, so he was not sent the cease and desist as a candidate. He was not sent the cease and desist as a police chief. He also was not sent the cease and desist as a commissioner. Instead, it seems as if the letter was sent to James King in the other role that he holds, a role that he hates the thought of more than anything else. The letter for cease and desist was sent to King in his role as a plain old regular nobody, a nothing, a regular citizen with no more special or powerful anything than any other citizen. Since that's the case, my question is, why did John Brooke respond on his behalf? John Brooke represents the commissioners. John Brooke represents Daleville. This article doesn't make it seem he might be Brooke's private attorney, but I doubt that. Or King's private attorney, but I doubt that. It seems as if he responded to this as the commissioner's attorney because it said that. So my question is, are the county taxpayers paying for this? Surely not. I'm going to find this out, and the citizens need to be asking. This is the kind of hinky bullshit that goes on. This is seriously crazy. This should not be happening. All right. And in the final dose of Delaware County government, before we really get on to the big story, onto Sproles. I want to talk to you all about a horrible situation. This is horrible for Delaware County. This is the kind of nonsense that Delaware County has going on. This is complete ignorance, okay? Just absolute complete ignorance. And this is what I'm talking about when I say that they have a hard time in doing anything right, okay? That they have an inability to make good decisions. They should not be meeting behind closed doors. People do not trust the Delaware County government, period. They should not be meeting behind closed doors. They've made that decision. That is a horrible decision. They've made this decision to have the county attorney answer on a private matter. Piss poor decision. Well, along with that, ladies and gentlemen, after tonight's show, that's exactly true. That's exactly true, Charlize. Along with this, they apparently cannot use spell check. Because let's look here at James King's re-election ad. James King, join us for the James King Commissioner Golf Tournament on April 26, 2024. Compete for first and second place prizes and be a part of the action. James King for commissioner. He's the Cowboy Kid commissioner, folks. It's King and Shannon Henry. And they're not just the missioners. They're the commissioners. Sherry Riggins not even a part of them. Sherry Riggin might be a commissioner, but she is not a commissioner. Now, I want to pull up here real quick. And I want you guys to just pay attention to the way that he spelled commissioner here. C-O-M minusing an M, I-S-S-I-O-N-E-R. For the love of God, they've been sharing this for weeks, folks, and nobody's caught this. They're just like, okay, this is a Kimbrell type of deal. Spell something wrong and just say, screw it, we'll leave it. It looks good. It's good enough. They'll know what I mean. Commissioner. Dude, this guy, this is the kind of person that gets us into an agreement like we're in with the Economic Development Agreement. You can't tell me that this man read that 33-page document. He spells commissioner with one M. Completely ignorant. Completely ignorant. I just can't. I can't do it. All right. Free Don. I need to take a drink, and you all need to get ready to hold on to your asses because we're getting ready to talk about Sproles. This is the point that everyone from Henry County needs to be ears up, eyes open. This is going to be very important. And I also want to let you guys know, this is a almost a not suitable for work type of a situation. I don't think we need to put the brand up. I'm just letting you guys know, folks, we're going to be talking about some highly sensitive stuff here. So if you're watching with children, man, maybe that's not the best right now. Hopefully people don't watch this show with children. No, honestly, I think you should. He said, wait a minute. Take that back. If he said Jim King, he'd have room for that. I love it. Oh, God. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, shorts on Sproles for tomorrow. Oh, yes. Yes. There will be some Sproles shorts, I'm sure. All right. Here we go. All right. Dude, listen. Sproles, like what goes on in Henry County? And this is the problem I talk about. This is why Sproles being the sheriff is a problem. Okay? Because he acts like a complete ass and makes a fool of himself and violates people's rights. And he apparently doesn't understand that he has a whole lot of impressionable people behind him watching his every move. And they think, well, if he's doing it, we can do it. Okay? I want you guys to be aware that you've got a very dangerous situation going on in Henry County. All right? Today, a press release was issued from the Indiana ACLU. ACLU. All right? Not normally a big fan of the ACLU here. All right? Not normally a big fan of the ACLU, but they've helped Brando. They're helping me. And they're doing right in this situation. Okay? I'm going to pull this up here. We'll actually pull this up because I think this is actually better than the actual the blow up here. Okay? Now, hold on to your seats here, folks, because this gets rough. The ACLU of Indiana sues officials at the Henry County Jail for misconduct and harassment. This is an official press release on January 31st, 2024. The American Civil Liberties Union of Indiana today filed a lawsuit against several Henry County Jail officials after gross misconduct and harassment of Miss Stacey Smith in violation of the 4th and 14th Amendments of the United States Constitution. Now, before I go on any further, I want to let you know this is a highly sensitive topic and a highly sensitive subject. And I always balance the need to express issues and concerns and things that you need to know and publicly related information, because anyone can get this by looking for it. But I never want to re-victimize or re-exploit somebody who's been a victim or who has been exploited. I have talked with Miss Smith, and I have dealt with everything going on here, and I've talked to her about what we're going to be talking about. I will not do anything that adds to her victimization or that exploits her. In very short order, we are hoping to have her on the program to be able to talk about this if at that point she so wishes and her attorneys have okayed it. We're in that process now. We're going to determine and see what happens, and we're going to walk that one step at a time. She is a strong woman, and I want everyone to know that everybody has the capability of having, a bad day, a dark day. Everyone has the capability of having, a mental health crisis, and that causing someone to do something that they wouldn't otherwise do. That being said, nobody deserves the treatment that Miss Smith received. Smith was placed in the Henry County Jail following an acute mental health crisis. She was arrested, and I want to tell you, it wasn't anything crazy. She was in there for misdemeanor disorderly conduct. That is all. She was in jail for, listen, I was arrested for misdemeanor disorderly conduct because I spoke in a meeting, okay? This very well could have happened, well, parts of it, okay? So listen, Miss Smith was placed in the Henry County Jail following an acute mental health crisis. After holding her for days in the jail restraint chair. Now, that line right there pisses me off. That's all you got to hear. Listen to me. Listen to me. Okay? Disorderly conduct is something that you go to jail and you bond out for $250. Or, worst case scenario, you're released on your own recognizance the next day. She should not have been in jail for 5 days. She definitely should not have been tied down to a chair. Disgusting. Okay, just that line. Just that line. She was placed in Henry County Jail for disorderly conduct misdemeanor following an acute mental health crisis after holding her for days in a jail restraint chair Officers then required her to strip naked and remove a used tampon in front of a security camera with in a cell with no toilet there. I don't know why they would have had her do that. They did this in front of the jail security camera within the cell, and they then used that camera to capture images of Miss Smith's genitals. Officers shared those images. Officers shared those images with staff and other individuals incarcerated in the facility and continually harassed Miss Smith about the images. Officers also tormented Miss Smith by encouraging and offering to pay another officer to tase her while she lay in her cell completely unprovoked. The circumstances and conditions in which Miss Smith suffered in the Henry County Jail were grossly and inappropriately, particularly given the mental health crisis in which led her to the confinement, said her attorney. The actions against Miss Smith by jail officers were unprovoked, humiliating, and caused severe psychological pain. The ACLU is seeking a trial by jury and nominal compensatory and punitive damages on behalf of Miss Smith. Now, folks, I can't even begin to tell you. Yeah, Joe. There is no way they're going to be able to afford insurance after this. There is no way. I don't understand this. And you know, if there's accusations like this, oh, yes. Okay. I mean, beyond gross, way criminal, the behavior here. And let me tell you, do I believe that John Sproles did this? I don't. I do not believe that. Do I believe that he has created a culture in which this kind of thing can thrive? Yes. This is John Sproles' fault.
Well, and then this happened, what? When was this? This was in March of 2023?
No, this was in August of 2023.
August of 2023. And
think
then,
about that.
And then we had what happen?
No, think about that. That's good. Think about that. He shot. Okay, that's good, Kate. He shot the gentleman with the beanbag on the 6th or the 7th of July. He had all of that shit going on with the dance team. He had all of that shit going on with Shirley, Officer Humphreys. And he had this going on. Oh, my God. Stand by. I'm pretty sure.
Well, this makes me ask questions about the deaths that came after this.
Oh, yeah. Yes. Yeah. Remember, there's been multiple deaths at the jail.
Very recently.
Year. Yeah.
And they're after this. So were the woman that died, was it because she'd been confined in a chair for so damn long?
Yeah.
That she had a heart attack from dehydration or what? If this is the kind of shit going on, it makes me question those deaths. All right, but you were looking something up. Look up what you're looking up.
No, I was just going to say, and I obviously would not play this, but I am pretty sure, I did not know this. I am pretty sure that I have some video of this. I'm pretty sure that I have some video of her being, I'm pretty sure. Okay, no, wait 1 second. I want to tell you. Give me a standby. Hold on. sorry. This
Maybe.
happened in February of 2023.
Yeah, the tail end of February, right?
Yes. So I misspoke. Back that up. So this happened in his second month. This happened in his second month in office. Then in July and June and July is when he started having problems with the dance team and Marquette and Antoine Marquette, or whatever his name was, and the gentleman that was shot with the beanbags, and then Officer Humphreys. So this happened first, but everything else that we've said still stands.
Yeah. This happens, they get away with it, and it all just goes to crap. But it makes me wonder about those deaths. Was it because there was this kind of behavior going on with those two?
Marquette Neal. Yes, that's right.
Marquette Neal.
Yes. And let me tell you, because of what happened to Miss Smith, they were warned in email that someone was going to die. I'm not going to say who. I don't know that I can say that yet. But because of what happened to Miss Smith, the jail was warned in email by, at this time, I can only say an unknown person, emailed them and said, because of the actions of what your jailers are doing in there, someone is going to die. So someone kind of predicted, because of knowing what goes on, that is not good to the human body.
So they weren't saying this person is going to die. They were just saying that someone at some point is going to die because of the
actions of the COs. Now listen, I want to be really clear.
Yeah, why isn't the paper reporting it? That's a good question.
Why? Where's Travis Week on this? Where's Channel 13? Where's Channel 8? Where's Russ McQuaid talking about his friend now? This should be everywhere.
Oh no, this is another frivolous lawsuit.
Exactly. That I dare you. Hey, I want to be very clear. Connie Richwine, say frivolous lawsuit again. Say that again, why don't you?
Days, Bree. Restrained in a chair for days.
5 days. 5 days.
Apparently on her period with a tampon in, which is, did they let her get up to go to the bathroom to change a tampon, or were they putting her at risk for toxic shock syndrome trapped in the chair?
Mm-hmm. Right. And to take the person out of the chair and then put them in a cell with no toilet, with no sink, no way to clean up, no whatever. And for whatever reason, they then made this person strip and remove, this sanitary pad and remove the tampon, and then do what with it?
Check it for drugs.
What's the deal? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm going to the lawsuit next. I'm pulling that up now.
I can't.
So that is here. I want to show you guys.
May I ask a question?
Yeah.
Do we know the race of Miss Smith?
Yes, she is a white.
She's Caucasian. Okay. I just wondered if this was a continuation in that pattern we keep seeing.
Yeah. That would have been. Oh my God, I could not imagine. But yeah, no, Miss Smith is a Caucasian white female, and look, listen. Here's the deal. I think it's going to be found that probably there was no real reason for her to even be in the facility to begin with. I'm not going to comment.
If she's having a mental health crisis, why didn't they book her, get her out, and then get her to a damn hospital where she gets some help?
Yeah. Good question, Alva. There are a lot of media in and around Henry County and beyond that could be doing some serious looking into this. What is going on?
I didn't even think of that she could lost her legs. It wouldn't even have to be the shock syndrome.
Well, yeah,
Sitting
right.
in a chair that long can cut
Blood
off
clots, man.
circulation.
Blood clots. What in the world?
Yeah, that's like freaking dangerous.
Okay, so named in the lawsuit is Henry County Sheriff John Sproles, Officer John Doe 1. Okay, it's because there's unnamed officers there, so they'll know, but her and her attorneys didn't know. Lacey Doe, so some Lacey unknown officer, Lieutenant Vargas, Officer Megan Olson, Officer Couch, and an Officer Lisa Armstrong. Okay, and so the introductory statement, she was taken for some unknown reason. Now tell me why this was. And I want to be very clear about this, okay? This is stuff that I want to be, I'm just trying to be delicate with this stuff. For some unknown reason, she was taken out of her underwear. She was taken out of her panties and put in an adult diaper. Like, why? I'm shocked. If she was in the middle of a serious mental health crisis at the time of the arrest, why wasn't she taken to the hospital first? Okay, I want to read some of this. What newspaper are you reading from about this article? There is no law. Oh, Jackie, there is no newspaper. I am breaking this. There is no newspaper. This is being broken on this program. There is no Channel 13, Channel 8, Channel 6, Channel 4, Channel 5, Boss Hogs of Liberty. There's no Star Press. There's no Courier Times. There is.
Jackie, I've put the link in the comments to the ACLU press release. That is the only press there has been on this.
Yeah. Because I have a lawsuit with the ACLU and have friends there, I definitely continue to watch kind of what goes on with the ACLU. And I had a good friend who decided to call me and let me know that this was also coming down. And like I said, this is a whole pattern of behavior, folks. Just this week, I was contacted. The Henry County Sheriff's Office recently shared a congratulations to a congratulations to our 2023 Reserve Officer of the Year, Chuck Norris. Hey, Chuck Norris! Chuck worked 120 hours covering the road shifts each month, which totaled more than 1,400 hours. To put this into perspective, a full-time officer works a little over 1,800 hours after utilizing all allowed holiday and vacation hours. Chuck responded to 581 calls for service and was responsible for 271 of those calls. Chuck made a total of 23 arrests. Not using karate in any of them, I'm not really sure. The Henry County Sheriff's Office has a total of 11 active reserve officers. The Henry County Sheriff's depends on these reserves to provide necessary additional resources when needed. The reserve unit is an integral part of our team, but we hate all other cops anywhere else. That's kind of interesting. It's important to note that our reserve officers do not get paid for their time. It is possibly more important to understand that the Henry County Sheriff's Office does not also allow reserve officers to work paid off-duty security details, so we're complete dicks with it. All right?
Wait a second. So this kid worked how many hours in a month?
120 hours a month.
Unpaid.
Yeah.
And then can't use his credentials to get an actual paying job.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
So in other words, they're
back
we
up.
have a slave labor force now too.
Right. Back up though. I'm not 100% sure that we're going to want it. Okay, because let's listen to this. There's some serious allegations here. Okay, now I want to say these are solely allegations. Everyone's innocent until proven guilty, and I need to double check some of this stuff. But I just want to say for the record that there have been multiple folks reaching out to tell me after this was posted that with all of the hate that the sheriff brought towards small towns, that it's interesting because he said that, he was worried about the small towns having officers with criminal records, yet his reserve of the year also might have an interesting background. Hey, can you look up Chuck Norris on my case and see if we can find one in?
You're talking to me, right?
Yeah.
Like Chuck. His name really is Chuck, or is it Charles?
It could be Charles, I guess.
Okay, it would be in Henry County.
Yeah.
In case there's more than one Chuck Norris in the state.
Yeah, it says that he was rushed through training. Sproles took over, allowed him to continue all these volunteer hours while being behind on child support. He's been arrested multiple times, being allowed to be able to enforce the law and also having protection orders against him. He's been arrested for DUI, carrying a handgun without a permit, trespassing, driving while suspended. He's been cited multiple times for driving while expired license plates, speeding tickets, and seatbelt violations. And someone just messaged me and said, while Sproles has deputies that break the law enforcing laws, why wouldn't the jail staff think the law are above the law too?
Okay, so in my case, I looked up Charles Norris. We've got one here, speeding exceeding 55 miles per hour. And that's all I see in my case. But I put his middle initial in, so let's get rid of that. So Charles Norris, civil tort, Charles E. Norris.
Well, I tell you what. Why don't we hold that off on?
This is going to take some time. Apparently, there's a lot of Charles Norrises.
The issue is, listen, and it's not just this cop. Maybe I'll come back tomorrow and do a complete mea culpa, and this Chuck Norris should be president of the United States. And I'll do that if that's possible. Maybe we'll see what goes on. At the end of the day, there are serious issues going on because we know what's going on with Sproles. Sproles isn't the only one that's done questionable things. We know of the situations of the Henry County Sheriff's deputies, tasing people in the face and doing all this other stuff. Nicole says 188 cases.
Yeah, it's going to take some sifting.
So we'll have to see what goes on. But back to this deal with Stacey. Is that it? Yeah. Here's the issue. Sproles is a loose cannon. Sproles has created a situation in which this stuff can continue to fester. And let me tell you, I'm not saying that because I have a problem with Sproles. Listen, do I have a problem with Sproles? Yes, I have a problem with Sproles. My problem with Sproles is I feel like he is completely uneducated to the fact of what being an elected official means. I also think that he is completely uneducated to what it means to be a supervisorial position in law enforcement. I feel like he is still very much a new guy at heart and at mind. And I feel like he has no position being in no position being in the position he's in. There's absolutely no way he should be leading the sheriff's department. He should not be the top cop of a county. There's just no way. There's no way. So, that being said, I can tell you from personal experience in law enforcement, I can tell you from what's went on here, what's gone on in Muncie. The city of Muncie Police Department has a long history of corruption within the brass, various folks, which creates corruption in the lower rank and file. And I'm telling you, it does not take very, very long. You know, someone just was recently bringing to me a study that talks about people that are born into positions of power, like the royal family and such. When you live in a position and you have this position of power for so long, it actually changes the way that your brain functions. It changes your brain function. And so people who are construction workers and are just regular humans, and then they go and apply to become a cop, and they're a cop for so long wearing the uniform that just wearing a uniform of authority will change your brain function and the way that you function as a human. And so, you know, the idea that power corrupts or that power changes humans, we often say, like, these people were great candidates, and then they got in office, and what happened? Well, this kind of thing happens like that. That's what goes on with this. What's crazy is Sproles hasn't even been a cop that long. So maybe he was just screwed up to begin with. Then he got in that position of authority, and he's like, bam, I'm from there. And then now he's the top cop. It's really bizarre.
Isn't that called FNG syndrome?
It is. It is, amazingly. Yeah.
What does FNG stand for again?
Well, it doesn't stand for fine new guy.
Nice guy.
Yeah,
Fine, nice guy.
I think it stands for fucking new guy. And it's something
Right.
it's something that it is used as a kind of a hazing type of a name that veterans and it's used in all kinds of it can be used in the military, it can be used in law enforcement, it can be used as firemen, it can be used in EMS, it can be used in doctors. You know, when you're in a position where you're kind of working under fire, meaning either under fire or stressful situations, and you've got these new guys that come in and they're chomping at the bit and they're like puppy dogs and they're just doing all this stupid crap. And you're like, oh, it's the FNG again, or, you know, whatever. It's kind of like, you know, you get the new car salesman.
We used to call them cherries. Fucking cherries.
Right. Yeah, same thing.
They need to get their cherries popped.
Yeah, right. And so here's
Oh, Blue Falcon. I knew somebody.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Blue Falcon. Absolutely.
Anybody who's not familiar with that terminology,
Yeah.
the non-military nomenclature would be buddy fucker.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, and so that's the thing. You know, and normally because of that hazing that people get in those positions, you know, and the time on, that gets, you do one of two things. You greenhorn, yeah, absolutely. You either wash these people out and they don't cut it and they leave and they go on to, you know, they go back to working at McDonald's, or they go on to become better. And that's the problem with Sproles. He's never had that time. Now, Joe says here, to be in a position of power, you have to be willing to put yourself in the back of the line. Everyone matters before you if you're in charge. And really, the thing is, that's an interesting position there, Joe, because you have to be able to put yourself at the back of the line while also leading from the front of the pack and not caring about yourself, putting everyone before you, while also saying, I'll be the one that'll take the heat and it falls on me. So you're all over.
That's the same thing, though, Kristopher.
Yeah, it is, really. Yeah,
it is the same thing.
It
I
is.
am expendable. You are not.
Yeah.
You are more important than me. I will show you the way this needs to be done so that you know what you're doing and you don't get hurt.
Yeah,
I will take the bullet 1st.
And Sproles is like, here, you get shot. So I got to be alive to tell the story. Sproles has to be first in a me, look at me, look at me, look at me kind of way. Somebody that doesn't learn the ropes and doesn't understand leadership. And because of that, we're now in a situation where he is getting in all these positions. He's still out doing FNG stuff while he's the top cop. He's making himself look ridiculous. He's getting his county to be tossed out of the insurance company. They're getting lawsuit hand over fist. And you've got his family that are going on saying, these are frivolous lawsuits. Meanwhile, we get a lawsuit where they're literally making female. Listen, she wasn't in prison. She's not a prisoner. She's not a convicted anything. She is innocent until proven guilty. This woman was in a mental health crisis, acute state of a mental health breakdown. She was jailed for a minor misdemeanor. She was strapped to a chair. Folks, I want to show you this real quick. Give me 1 second. For anybody that hasn't seen these, I want to give you a demonstration of, I want to show you what a jail restraint chair looks like, okay? And give you an idea of what a jail restraint looks like. Okay.
Fight with his roommate. He was naked when we got there.
Oh, okay.
They were wrestling with him, trying to hold him down.
Well, we got him in there, so hopefully he'll cool down.
Hopefully.
We'll see.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep.
There you do. Sure. Yeah, you think so? Hold on, sir. Hold on 1 second. Okay, let's take him upstairs. While he was sitting there, he decided to start beating his head into the back of the chair. This is the helmet that.
Now, they don't all look like this, always. And this guy's being crazy. I don't know what he's done ahead of this, but this is an idea of a chair.
I don't have to go to that route, so but we'll see.
I mean, look, I mean, I couldn't handle this for 10 minutes.
Okay, so he's strapped from here to here and then here to here across the waist.
Mm-hmm.
Are his knees strapped together too?
Yes. And his
arms are behind his back.
His arms are handcuffed behind his back, and he's shackled at the legs.
And they have a helmet on him.
Yeah.
Now, he came in naked.
Yeah.
They said he came in naked, so he wasn't stripped down.
He wasn't stripped. But the thing is, excited delirium is a very real thing. And this kind of situation could very easily cause excited delirium. And in excited delirium, what happens is your heart rate is going, your blood pressure spikes, people stroke out with excited delirium.
Jeff Walls is saying Henry's chairs are newer and more restrictive.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Oh, yeah, they just built the new chair or the new jail. I mean, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I'm kind of getting sick.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I want to find an example. I'm looking for just a just the chair by itself. Chair. Images. Oh yeah. Okay. So here you go. You look at this chair over here on the right-hand side. You can strap down the arms. You can strap the legs down. It's got it's got a hand cart for them to pick you up and wheel you around. Locking wrist restraints, lap strap, locking lap strap, wheel brake, leg iron, chain retainer, ankle straps, double latch, hook and loop, elbow straps, shoulder straps, padded back, cut out for handcuffs if the person's handcuffed behind the back instead. Dude, I'm telling you. I mean,
okay. Here's another random thing.
Yeah.
When you, Jeff is saying that's the one that they have. If you're a police officer,
yep.
Before you're allowed to pepper spray someone, you have to experience it, correct?
Uh-huh.
Before you're allowed to tase someone, you have to experience it.
No.
Correct? No.
You don't have to. They like you to, but you don't have to, actually.
You don't have to, but they want you to.
Yeah.
If they're going to have these chairs in places, I think you should have to sit in it for a couple of hours. Strap.
Yeah.
So you know what you're doing to people. This is I love medieval torture devices as a, category.
Wow, look what they did back then. Yeah.
As a category of study, but not for what the fuck is wrong with these people?
Well, and like who said it? Yoko said, "How do you ever sleep in a chair like that?" She was in there for days. And I, I just can't help but think that they knew. I mean, they knew what they were doing. And then now I want to read you this before we roll out of here, because we've been here for a minute, but this deserves all of the time that we're giving it. I want you guys to hear some of this, because we've not even talked about all of the seriousness that's the area. I want you guys to hear this. After suffering from an acute mental health crisis, Stacey Smith was placed in Henry County Jail. While there, corrections officers required her to strip and remove her used tampon in front of the security camera within the cell present to facilitate suicide watch for inmates in serious mental health distress, and then use that camera to capture images of Miss Smith's genitals. They then shared those images with staff and other inmates and continually harassed her about the appearance of her genitals. Corrections officers also tormented her by encouraging officers to pay another officer to tase Miss Smith while she lay in her cell. The actions of the defendants violated Miss Smith's Fourth Amendment right to be free from unreasonable searches, her 14th Amendment to due process and right to be free from conditions that amount to punishment, and her 14th Amendment of equal protection right to be free from gender-based discrimination. They also constitute torts under Indiana law. Miss Smith is entitled to declaratory relief and damages, including punitive damages. Okay, then it talks about why the court has as venue, why they're able to hear it. It talks about who everyone is involved in the case. Stacey Smith, Lisa Armstrong, an employee of the Henry County Sheriff's Office. All relevant times, Officer Couch, whose first name is currently unknown, was a correction officer employed by the Henry County Sheriff's Office. At all relevant times, Officer Megan Oslin, a correction officer employed by the Henry County Sheriff's Office. Officer John Doe, whose name is currently unknown, was a corrections officer employed by Henry County Sheriff's Office. At all relevant times, Lieutenant Vargas, whose first name is currently unknown, was a correctional officer employed with the Sheriff's Department. Lacey Doe, whose last name is currently unknown, who employed by Henry County Sheriff's Office. And the Henry County Sheriff, duly elected Sheriff of Henry County, he is sued in his official capacity. Factual allegations. Smith has been diagnosed with generalized anxiety, depression, major depression disorder, and post-traumatic stress disorder. In February 2023, Ms. Smith experienced an acute mental health crisis stemming from those mental health conditions and precipitated in part by alcohol intoxication. Okay, she was drinking. She's an adult. There's nothing wrong with that. It maybe caused her to have a little bit of issue. It is what it is. She attempted to self-harm by cutting her wrists. Fearing for Miss Smith's safety, her mother called the police. Because, you think when someone is in danger, you think, yeah, I can call the police and they'll help. You don't think that someone's going to go from there to being tormented and tortured. Who escorted Miss Smith to a local hospital for mental health evaluation. So her mother took her to the hospital. Smith was transferred from the hospital to the Henry County Jail on Tuesday, February 28, 2023. Smith was deemed a threat to herself upon arrival at the jail due to mental health crisis and intoxication. As a result, Corrections Officer Lisa Armstrong and Megan Olson placed Smith in the jail's restraint chair. The chair uses straps and belts to secure a person's feet, torso, and hands in an upright sitting position. Smith was restrained using 2 straps on each arm, a strap around the waist, a restraint system similar to a vest that held onto her torso, 2 straps around each leg. This held her in an upright position in the restraint chair, and she was virtually unable to move. She could move her own head, but she could not move any other part of her body. That is absolutely insane. All right. The chair was placed immediately inside the main entrance into the jail, just outside of an administrative office near a control station, which appeared to be the hub of the jail staff activity. Smith was first secured into the restraint chair following the admission on Tuesday, and she was informed that she would be required to stay in the restraint chair at least through Friday. Why? She was told that she was required to remain on suicide watch in the chair until the jail's mental health practitioner made her weekly visit, which happened on Fridays only. While in the restraint chair, Miss Smith's hands were freed from the restraint only to allow her to eat 3 meals a day. She was removed from the chair for approximately 15 minutes every 2 hours to move her body and for restroom breaks, escorted by an officer to a private restroom. This extended confinement in the restraint chair is extremely uncomfortable. Miss Smith could not move or shift her position, causing pain, cramping, numbness, and other physical discomfort. It was nearly impossible to sleep as the chair was placed in a busy area where there was almost always noise, where there were lights were always on. All through her discomfort and immobility, she would have made sleep nearly impossible, regardless of where the chair was placed. It was also extremely cold. She couldn't cover up. She couldn't shrink up into a ball. This is insane. On the evening of Wednesday, March 1st, Ms. Smith started her period while strapped to the restraint chair. This required that she request more frequent visits to the restroom, and she perceived that the staff were annoyed that they were required to remove her from the chair and escort her frequently to the restroom because it's a bunch of work taking people out and putting them back in. On the afternoon of Thursday, March 2nd, so she's been in this for a couple of days, she was taken out of the restraint chair to attend her initial appearance in court. Following that appearance, she was returned to the jail. Screw the judge for allowing that. And she was strapped back into the restraint chair. To hell with these people, man. Later that afternoon, a corrections sergeant offered Miss Smith the option to be removed from the restraint chair and housed inside the jail's padded cell. Miss Smith perceived this to be preferable to the restraint chair, as the chair caused her pain and discomfort. It was nearly impossible to sleep, and she was extremely cold. She was suffering and exhausted, so she agreed to be moved into the padded cell. This cell did not have a toilet, sink, or fixed bed inside of it. You've got to sleep on the floor? It contained one piece of bedding similar to a sleeping bag. A video camera was affixed to the ceiling in the upper corner of the cell. We've seen this. We saw it in Marquette Neal's video. Smith was escorted to the cell by officers Armstrong, jail employee Lacey Doe, who Miss Smith understood to be a trainee under the supervision of Officer Armstrong. Officer Armstrong stood near the doorway of the cell, supervising the interactions between Smith and Lacey. Although to this point, Smith had been wearing a jail-issued jumpsuit, Lacey told Miss Smith she was required to change into a suicide smock, which is a sleeveless gown-like garment that closes using Velcro. Lacey also informed Miss Smith that she would not be permitted to wear her underwear and that she would be required to wear a diaper instead. Smith asked to be escorted to the restroom so she could remove her tampon that had been in use for several hours. Lacey refused. Why? Lacey instructed Smith, what's really sad is this is women doing this to her. Women are doing this to her. Lacey instructed Smith to undress, including removing her underwear. Smith was also instructed to remove her used pad from her underwear, which she did, although there was no trash receptacle, so she placed the pad on the ground. Lacey then stated that Miss Smith was required to remove the tampon from her body, and Miss Smith did so and placed it on the ground. She was required to do all of this while facing the video camera without benefit of a toilet or a sink. This was objectively fucking unreasonable and extremely humiliating and unhygienic. Shame on these people. She was given a suicide smock to wear, the Velcro closure on which was not functional, and her underwear was taken. She was given an adult diaper instead. From that cell, Miss Smith could hear the discussion being held by jail staff in the control area. Although she could not see the station from inside the cell, Smith went to sleep almost immediately because she hadn't been asleep in 4 days. At some point, she woke up and immediately heard Officer Couch discussing what she came to realize was an image or images of her genitalia, apparently taken using video camera in the cell while she was undressing and removing her tampon. Specifically discussed watching her taking out her tampon. Smith was also able to determine from that and other comments that officers were discussing her. On information and belief, Officer Couch and or other correctional officers used surveillance cameras in Miss Smith's padded cell to zoom in on and take still images of her vagina. There was certainly no penological justification or purpose for these actions. Officer Couch stated to another officer, "Look, I've got a new one for my spank bank." John Doe then asked whether Miss Smith shaved her pubic area to look like a landing strip. A number of officers who she could hear but could not see then discussed the appearance of her genitals, making further extremely demeaning, degrading comments. From the reactions of the other individuals that Miss Smith could hear, she deduced that the image or images of her genitalia were being shown to and or among other jail staff and to inmates who discussed and commented on the images. Smith repeatedly shouted from her cell, asking the staff members to stop sharing and looking at the images, but the staff members continued their degrading commentary and discussion. In response to some of Smith's shouts, one point, at least one officer shouted back to her to stop yelling. The actions were taken without penological purpose and were done with the purpose to harass and humiliate Smith and cause her psychological pain, which they did. While all of these activities occurred, Smith was on suicide watch. Smith felt humiliated, degraded, and unsafe as a result of these comments, and any reasonable person would have as well. The actions of the defendants in taking and sharing images of Smith's genitals and harassing and mocking her about her genitals were done on the basis of her gender. Obviously. Through conversation with Smith overheard, she understood that newly hired officer Megan Olson had not yet deployed her taser against an inmate. She repeatedly heard Officer Couch and Lieutenant Vargas offering Officer Olson money to do so against Smith, even though no use of force whatsoever would have been or was appropriate. The amount of money
Sproles would have been okay with that, though.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. The money offered by the officers in a form of a pool ultimately reached $250. Officers Couch and Olson and Lieutenant Vargas all knew that Miss Smith heard these threats that were being made to tase her because Smith repeatedly shouted from her cell in response to the efforts to persuade officers to do so. In response to these shouts, Officer Olson said, "I don't want to hurt you. I just want to make you cry." Officer Olson said, "I don't want to hurt you. I just want to make you cry." A male officer then yelled, "Are you ready, you dumb bitch?" During this time period, Miss Smith was huddled in the corner of the cell. No officer gave her any instructions with which she even could have refused to comply, and there was no reason why any use of force was threatened or use of force would have been appropriate. Over the next several hours, Officer Olson walked dozens of times to and front of her cell. This caused Smith intense anxiety and fear, as she knew that Officer Olson was being encouraged and offered money to tase her. Smith reasonably perceived that Officer Olson was attempting to work up the courage to tase her. As Officer Olson approached Smith's cell, a currently unknown officers would apparently open the door of Smith's cell, previously locked cell, to provide Officer Olson with easier access to tase Smith. All of this caused enormous anxiety and fear in Smith, and she would indeed be tased while she merely sat or laid in her cell, and any reasonably person would have felt that way as well. These accusations were taken without penological purpose and were done so only in the purpose to harass and humiliate Smith and to cause her psychological pain. Ultimately, Officer Olson did not tase Smith. After approximately 12 hours in the padded cell on Friday, March 3rd, Smith was released from the jail. She was never seen by a mental health professional in the jail. So I want to know for what reason they held her those 5 days. At all times, the defendants acted under the color of law. I can't hardly read this. The defendants conducted the defendants' conduct constituted a pattern of harassment intended to cause Smith psychological and physical harm. As a result of the actions of the defendants, Smith experienced physical pain and suffering, as well as serious and severe emotional harm. The defendants' actions were taken maliciously and with reckless or callous indifference to Miss Smith's rights. More than 90 days ago, plaintiff provided notice as required by the Indiana law. 34-13-3, and no response has been received. They did not respond. Okay, and then in here it talks about...
That's because it's just a frivolous suit.
Yeah.
And, we don't respond to things like that because we're not settling. We want things to go to court because settling just causes other people to file frivolous lawsuits.
Yeah.
Fuck that motherfucker.
Yeah. I mean, I want to be real clear. Sproles will fire people if in dealing with someone that's violent and maybe threatening, he will fire people if they say the word fuck. But yet they are able to do this, and he thinks that this is okay. You can't tell me that Sproles didn't know this. This isn't LA, it's Henry County. He knew this was going on. This means Sproles knew she was there and would pass by her several times a day. He absolutely is responsible. Absolutely. And let's be very clear. This is the best example of do justice, love mercy, and be humble that they can provide. Is this that? Henry County is about to be renamed Smith County, and rightfully so. And I hope she moves the hell out of there. And me personally, I just want to know, I want to ask Sheriff Sproles, is this what you're hoping to create in your fucking jail, you piece of fucking shit? Like, I just want to put it on the record. John Sproles is a piece of shit. And these people who work underneath him, folks, this is not the way to conduct yourselves. And he is leading you guys down a bad path. I mean, people, yeah, Stumblefoot. People need to make signs in their yard that say, remove Sproles. Like an 83-year-old woman was able to do it and kept the sign in her yard. People would steal it.
The 80-year-old, after that, you broke up.
An 83-year-old lady in Winchester put a sign in her yard doing the same thing about the mayor in Winchester, and she fought all of that. Maybe he should care more about what he's doing in his jail and less about what's going on with town marshals. Maybe that's probably true. Travis Week had to know, and probably Merit Board, Boss Hog too. Did they care to tell community that they pretend to care about? You tell me. Wow, Joe, what an awful saying for this county after... Yeah! Man. I am definitely going to do this. I'm going to cut just this segment out of this video and put it up as its own video so people can get this and watch this in and of itself. And I want you guys to share the hell out of it. He completely knew about this and knew about the lawsuit when he made the frivolous lawsuit statement. Yeah, keep that in mind. Yeah. Yes, Nicole, please do that. Please do that. I don't know what else to say. That's about all we can say about this. We've talked about a lot of stuff tonight, and a lot of it is just disgusting, but this takes the cake. I mean, this takes the cake for anything we've talked about. I feel so bad for that lady. Yeah, me too.
Nicole, thank you.
Yes. Yeah, that's awesome. Sproles has at least earned a 36 by 36. Remove me from... Yeah, I know! I wonder if the insurance company for the county got wind of this while terminating the policy. Dude, I don't know, but I want to make sure that Josh Estel hears this.
Well, it was 90 days ago. They said they sent notice and they hadn't responded. So that would put it back to let's see, 30 days, December, November. So Halloween.
Yeah.
Around Halloween. So they had to have known that the insurance, this must be part of what the insurance company, because they filed the tort on this. So this is part of all of that. We've got to find out how many tort claims are out against this son of a bitch. While he sits in his little t-shirt and rubs his nipples because he's the FMG and awesome. There you go, Circe. Post it again.
Yeah, right. Now we know why he's posting all of the cop propaganda, trying to wash away his wrongdoings, taking the whole agency down. Yeah, Joe. Yeah. That is exactly right. Posting the pictures of the juvenile that helped the people that were having the overdose. That was a real weird post he made. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. That's why the insurance company is doing what they're doing. Yeah, I think it is. And I tell you what, to me, that makes Stacey Smith one strong ass person. And I think it's awesome. I think she's awesome. She is a hero to have been able to withstand this and come out the other side. And I purposely. Yeah.
Can we make her bastard of the year?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm down with that.
I know that's not a nice word, but
no, I'm good. Yeah. No, I'm saying, yeah, serious. Listen,
I know we don't do the bastard of the week anymore.
Right.
I know but this is fucking brilliant.
Yeah, because I mean, think about this. Like, I want to say, like, what she's doing in fighting this, because a lot of people would be like, man, I just don't want to deal with it. You know, I give her major kudos for standing up to this and to fighting it, because she knows it's going to all come out. She's going to be re-victimized. And I mean, she's a tough woman. And I give her absolute kudos. Now, I've talked to her today, and as we're going to work on possibly bringing her on in the near future, as long as she's still up to it. You know, we'll just see what goes on. But I think she's amazing, and telling her story and being willing to spread it and wanting the platforms to be able to do that and let people know, because she doesn't want it to happen to anybody else. And I just want to say this to her. I don't know if she's watching or she will watch, but if she does hear this, I just want to say this. I know whatever you were dealing with last year and you were having issues going on, but you've always had a purpose, and you need to keep plugging away and keep fighting. And you are always free to call or to text me or to message or email or whatever, or continue getting a hold of me the way that you do, the way that you have. But I just want to let you, and you've obviously got my phone number now, but I want to let you know that you now have an absolute purpose, and it is to help us bring this asshole down. So keep fighting, girl. Keep fighting. Keep your head up. And I'm very proud of you, and all of these people are proud of you. And what you're doing is amazing. And hopefully, because what you're doing, other people will not have to go through this. What's sad is, from when you went through this, between there and now, there have been deaths in the jail. Who knows? We need to start an anti-tyrant donation fund to pay for billboards and other advertisements. That's really good. That's really good. Yeah, we need to look into doing that. We want to start a political action committee and look at what we could do with that and other things. So yeah, maybe we could see what's going on. So that's something that we've been talking about doing. That's really good. Send her a Sproles shirt. I don't know that she would want that asshole on her body, but I will, if she wants one, we will send her one. I'll talk to her about that and ask. So This one really makes me thank the lady who died in the medical hole. I know, man. I know. Karen wants the bastard's mug. We'll see what we can do, Karen. All right, folks. I'm out. Listen, before we go, I want to say this. We have some really big things going on still yet this week. It's Wednesday. We've not even went over the City of Muncie Board of Works. I will do that after the show, and I'll see what there is to know. But to let you guys know, tomorrow night we will have the one, the only Donald Rainwater on. So I will let you guys know tomorrow at 9 p.m. right here, Donald Rainwater. It's going to be a great episode. Then we will be off on Friday. And then, and I have not said this to anybody yet, and I hate it, Brandon's going to be gone on Saturday because he's got some birthday celebrating to do, pre-planned birthday celebrating. But on Saturday, at a very strange time, and it's because I'm working around the guest, we're going to do a very special bonus Saturday show at a very strange time, but maybe it'll bring new listeners. A 3 p.m. Saturday afternoon show with John Rust. We're going to have John Rust on. I wanted to have him on when Brandon could be on, but with someone as big as John Rust, you kind of say, I'll work around your schedule. Tell me what. I said, hey, we normally do 9 p.m. Is that okay? Because what I say to people is we do live show at 9 p.m., but we'll work around your schedule. If that's too late, we could always record you and then put it up. And everyone's always been like, oh, no, that's fine. I said that, and he's like, oh, yeah, that's way too late. He was like, I'm running a campaign, but I'm still also very much a farmer, and I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. So I'm in bed way before 9 p.m. And I was like, okay, all right, I get it, dude. He sounds really cool. I didn't want to just record it and then upload it at another time. I do want a chance to have him on live because he said that he's an open book and he's willing to have questions, and he wants all the questions that we can. And he's like, I'm willing to talk as long as you want to talk, you know. He said, you know, we did one. He's like, he loves these things. So he's all about it, and he's open. So we're going to be on. We're here tomorrow, 9 p.m. regular time, Donald Rainwater Thursday. Then we're off Friday, and then Saturday we're off Saturday night. But we're going to have a special 3 p.m. bonus show Saturday afternoon. It'll be so weird. Should have told him we can do it at 4 in the morning. 4 in the morning. Yeah, I'm up then too. I'm like, hey, I can do it at 4 p.m. or 4 a.m., 4 p.m. I'm the same, but hell, he's out doing the eggs at 4 o'clock in the morning. So I'm sure he would have told me hell no. And Kate's saying hell no too. I might be up at 4 o'clock in the morning, but she's not. She's not up. That's when she's generally just going to bed. All right, folks. Hey, this was a really heavy show. You know, but sometimes we got to do it. Big shout out to Stacey Smith. She's awesome. Shout out to all the rest of you. Hey, remember, nobody out there be a commissioner. Only King can be a commissioner. Remember to be mad and tell the Delaware County commissioners when you want them to do the meetings at a time that's reasonable and you don't believe that they should do it under the cover of darkness and all of that other bullshit. We will see you tomorrow at 9 p.m. Take care, each and every one of you. Good night. God bless. Goodbye. 600-foot speed waxing cord